cleaning my closet. This was perhaps the very first rendering in terms of any kind of created art that I did with regard to my twin flame union, and it was way back in 1989. And it's a very quick watercolor sketch that I did using my soul essence art process that I sort of invented for myself out of necessity. And what that is all about, soul essence art for me, it is really allowing myself to fully express my soul's full knowing, what I've come to call my soul's truth and radiance, my star power from my whole self and my soul self. And so soul essence art is, a technique that I developed for myself during my healing journey. Initially, my journey to integration of my personality, because I had quite a significant split going on throughout my teenage years and early 20s. And so let's see, 1989, I would have been in my mid 20s, and I had begun in earnest the integration and healing process, and really was functioning on a much higher level at that point, and became aware that I could no longer subjugate or deny certain aspects of my own knowing. And in my case, that was a deep spiritual knowing. And at first, I only allowed myself to know that myself. I never voiced it back then. And then eventually, of course, I came to own it more fully, and then begin to acknowledge and express it in a variety of ways that that felt more honoring of myself and what I believe I had been called to in this life, have been called to in this life. So this particular image, I'm going to just put it as the cover for this video, because I do not have a good, nice, clean piece of art to share with you, but I will put the link below, and so you can see it larger if you'd like, because it's a vertical piece of art. So it is called Lift High the Flame. And when I did this in 1989, let's see, I had met in person. So I had encountered the person I considered to be my divine counterpart, on the sacred divine partnership path. And I encountered that individual 2 or 3 times briefly without officially meeting him, and then found myself sort of unexpectedly, spoke to him on the phone, and then turns out the place that my then husband and I had moved to, he was quite a prominent figure in that arena. And so had met him at this point, and eventually came to be very much where our paths intersected more frequently. And this rendering called Lift High the Flame was probably my first acknowledgement of what I had in an inner level seen as my truth, which was that the two of us shared a connection, and that was more than just a physical connection. It was far more than that. It was more than just a here and now. It was definitely at that point in my understanding, it wasn't even about physical togetherness. It was much more about the spiritual soul connection that transcended time and space for me. And I'm speaking only of my own experience here, not his. But this particular rendering, what my soul depicted here was the two of us are the figures on the left and the right, towards the bottom of this image. And it was as if we were being summoned, called forward in space and time, and called to face the one, which is the figure in the middle there, which looks a little fun and celebratory. For me, that represents the person of Jesus, but it's essentially a representation of a higher representation of God, source, creator, life itself. And then the what comes out as we individually, I'm on the left and he's on the right, and as we move toward the person, figure there that is the higher representation of the Christ energy, as we show up and answer that call, then things are set into motion and are set free. And then you see that the flame at the top, which is very, again, representative in terms of both a spiritual and a physical form. And again, this is a very simple little watercolor, but that flame is what then emerges, what is set free by our bringing our full hearts and souls forward. And in this particular image, that happens simply by both individuals being present to God, Source, Creator, by showing up fully and by acknowledging that that is a higher calling than all of these other things that would distract us, which for me, these little blobs down here and the little, there's one or two human forms as well in there, but they represent all of those various doors that are available to us, both in terms of other relationship partners and in terms of other good works, and in terms of other opportunities that are there for us in this life. And so that's what this particular image represents for me. And I just wanted to share it here because I hadn't realized actually that I had created a piece of art so early on, but I had. And so here we are almost 30 years later, 28 years, I think. I think I'm doing the math right there later. And, when I ran across it in the closet, I was like, yes, yeah, I knew the high calling to which I had been called and have known that. And so one other thing I'd like to add here is, I am not currently in physical union yet, although I have, as I spoke to in my last video, I have really reached a new experience of being fully present in the experience of life to that calling and that eternal flame, which I am here to represent and to usher in. It is the grace-filled revolution of love that I am here to be. And my being that is not dependent on any particular form. All that any of us can do is our part there. And it is not mine and nor is it my partner's to judge or deem the worthiness of, or the worthiness is probably not the best word there, to judge or interpret the way that we are doing that belongs to the Christ light, and that belongs to life itself to show us the more excellent way, and for each one of us in our own hearts and souls to just simply keep tending to our own flame that resides within that inner union. And yes, that is divine masculine, divine feminine, and the ways that are allowing ourselves to embrace the fullness of that flame and not diminish it and not extinguish it by allowing ourselves to, let our light so shine here and now, and to be the salt of the earth. By doing that individually, we are being faithful in every moment. And so I hope that's helpful. I have been, just talking off the cuff here. I didn't really plan my remarks. I hope that that's understandable. I hope you enjoy the art.